What is up, everybody? I'm super excited because I've got Megan Cockrell on the line, and Megan loves Facebook. I'm excited to have her because when she filled out the questionnaire, I felt the excitement come through in just the bio that she filled out, and I want to get into it. So she's been working with Facebook for the past 2 years for clients in many different niches. Her specialty is organic growth strategy and ads. Her favorite stat is that she helped one of her clients go from 15,000 likes to 30,000 likes in 3 months. And recently she helped her client take an email list from 200 to 1,500 in only 6 weeks. She says Facebook is legit and it's the best place for marketers, and she can't wait to tell us more about it. She's also a coffee lover, so I'm excited to have her on here today. And Megan, why don't you just say hey to everybody so they can get a feel for your voice?
Hey guys, I'm Megan. I'm really excited to be here with Matt, and I love Facebook. It's weird. I know a lot of people are like, Facebook, really? But I love it. It's great. I've seen my clients have lots of success. I'm excited to tell you all about it.
Awesome. I'm stoked to learn about it because Facebook is an enigma for me right now. I've got a page up. Again, the podcast as we're recording this hasn't launched yet, but my Facebook page has like 20 likes and it's been sitting there for like 2 weeks. I basically shared it with like my Facebook friends, and then I've been doing Facebook lives and stuff, and it's been sitting stagnant at 20 likes. So I'm excited to talk about this
I have
today
to get that
because
up.
right. And I figure you're like the best person absolutely to talk about that. So before we get into the meat and potatoes of the episode, I have my pod deck question here. For anybody first time listener, pod deck is a deck of randomly non-industry specific questions. Helps us get to know Megan a little bit more. If you want them, over my shoulder here, you can see it if you're watching on YouTube, but they're my sponsor. Go to poddex.com. If you use coupon code TheMattPeet, all one word, at checkout, you get 10% off. So it'll save you a couple bucks there. But I'm going to
Cool.
draw a random card. I shuffled these, I promise, before we got on here. So I have no idea what's coming. This could be good, bad, or indifferent. Let's find out.
I'm excited.
What are you most excited about right now?
I didn't hear what I'm most excited about right now.
Right now.
Okay, this is funny. Has nothing to do with business, but we just moved into a house and we've moved a whole bunch of times. So I'm really excited to start to get settled, and we are redoing our kitchen. And so we've been painting for forever. And this might come off, a little bit later when you get to know me, but I am like a doer and a goer and like, let's do this now. So when we decided to redo our kitchen, I was like, oh, we're just going to paint the cabinets. It's going to be like, we'll move in on Friday and it'll be done by Saturday at lunch. Like, let's go. We've been here for like 4 or 5 weeks and my kitchen is still all taken apart, and there's cabinet doors out in the garage, but it's beautiful. I can see the light at the end of the tunnel. We've got the inside cabinets painted, just not the doors, and it's going to be dark blue with gold handles and white, and I'm really excited. I've never had a kitchen that I've loved because we've been renting for forever, so yay, I'm excited about my kitchen.
That's awesome. And it does really change your mindset when you go from renting to owning, because then you don't have to worry
Yes.
about changing things back whenever you decide you want to leave.
Right.
That's awesome. And that's why I
Yes.
asked the pod deck question, because it's not necessarily business specific. We get to know you a little bit more. And for anybody out
Yes.
there, you mentioned you moved a lot in your part of your bio. You said you got married in 2011, 9 years ago, and you've moved 11 times in 9 years. So like
Yes.
that's you're a professional mover at this point. You could go get a
Yes,
job at a
I
moving
often think I'm
company.
in the wrong industry.
Yeah, you could
What'd you
be a
say?
mover. So you could be a professional mover
Yeah.
at this point.
Oh
Awesome.
gosh, over
All right.
it.
So you are in your specialty is organic growth strategy and ads with Facebook. So let's talk more about that, because again, I'm super excited about that. Um, I'll let you intro because I know very little to nothing about it. So I want you to kind of give me your thoughts on it first.
Awesome. So, organic strategy on Facebook is really great because it really gives you a chance to figure out who your audience is and connect with them. Versus a lot of times I see, especially I feel like, not hating on any e-commerce, but a lot of times like with e-commerce, like they have a product, so they just put it out there. And yes, I know their ideal client, but if you're not spending time interacting and engaging with those people, like I feel like there's a lot of times a lot of ways that you can miss kind of the heartbeat of what their issue is. And so I love organic because you can really like dive into who your audiences, and Facebook has some really cool tools in your business manager to go in and find audience insights and figure out like if my ideal client likes, I think it's right, Nike, then they might also like, and it'll give you all these pages that they might also like. And so you can go in and start, especially if you're running ads, you can target towards that. But then it gives you a feel of like, okay, I can go to this page and this page and this page and look and see where my ideal clients are hanging out and get to know a little bit more about them. And so it just gives you a really cool insight into who your audience is, what they're struggling with, what they want, what they don't want. And then you get to go into your page or your group. You can specifically ask those questions, and you can specifically, like, I always tell my clients, like, have you asked your, your group, your page, what they want? Like, you might think that they want you to write a book about whales, but maybe they really want you to write a book about how to find seashells on the beach. So kind of similar, but not really. And you wouldn't know that unless you asked. And so I love organic because it just gets you in there with them. I'm all about just in life, building relationships and emotional connections. And so that's how I get to do it in my work. And I love that. Does that make sense? Have you ever thought through that or tried any of that?
So that's super awesome. So I had, like we talked about before, I had Trisha Pruitt on the podcast, and she talked about one of the tools about how to get insights from other business pages. So like if you go on the
Mm-hmm.
back end, you can like follow Tony Robbins and ClickFunnels and all these different people to see like what their top posts are and like how many new
Yep.
engagements they have and everything. So we talked about that, but I didn't know that you could see like your audience. And so you said you can see what your audience is like likely to follow and like with organic. Cause I know you could do that with like
Yep.
paid ads. You can do that with organic too.
Yep. So So yeah, if you sign up, not sign up, that's funny. If you have a business page, you can go in and like manage everything through Business Manager, which I found a
Yep.
lot of my clients don't end up doing that. And so that's a new thing for them. So
Mhm.
we'll get them into Business Manager. And then you can go through, and there's a thing called Audience Insights in your Business Manager, and you pull it up and you can search anyone. If your page is big enough, Facebook gets kind of wonky sometimes. So I'm not exactly sure the number, but I know the clients that I've had who have had around 100,000 likes, you can actually connect your page. So it says like connected to, I make up my name, the whale page. I'm gonna stick with whales. This is what happens to me. I like find a
I do the
subject that I
same
think
thing.
yes, I stick with it. So the whale page, so it has 100,000 likes, so we can follow that. And so it'll say people who are connected to your whale page also like the octopus page and how to find seashells and how to go surfing. And so it'll list out all these pages, and it'll give you like their demographics,
Hmm.
so what age range they are, if they're male or female, and then it gives you an affinity. So like people who like your page are also 272 times more likely to like this page, whatever, the seashell page. So it gives you a lot of really cool information.
That's really
So,
awesome.
and even if your page doesn't connect to that, like, that's why it's great to know who your audience is. So, like, okay, I have this whale page, so I know that obviously they like the ocean. So you can type in the ocean page, and then it'll say, all these different pages, affinity, the demographics, and all of that. So it's a really great place to start, even if you have a baby page.
Yes, like my baby page.
Yeah.
So like here's a quick question, just because it's something I'm struggling with. The business manager. I
Mhm.
use it, air quotes, for anybody not watching this, listening. Um, I I have a couple different pages that I've created over the years, businesses I've started and failed, kind of thing. Then I've got my video production business, which has been consistent for the past 10 years or so. And I have these business manager accounts. I tried to create one for this page, the Matt Peet page, and it wouldn't let me. I couldn't figure out how to do it, and ended up like creating like a
Hmm.
sub page of one of my other pages somehow. So like I have the ability to create pixels and stuff through this and like run ads based on that, but it's not like whenever I go to my business manager and you like select your businesses and like you select which one you want to manage, it told me I had maxed out at like 4 or something like that. And I tried to delete one, it wouldn't let me delete. I didn't know if that was like a glitch or if that's something that I've done completely wrong, because that's very
I will
real possibility.
I will tell you the thing I hate most about Facebook is Business Manager and Ads Manager.
Yeah,
It
it's
is
not super user friendly for
no,
a
no.
non-expert like myself.
Well, even like as an expert, like it's complicated. And Facebook, you can look it up. It's actually kind of crazy, but they will tell you how many what do you call it, like different versions of Business Manager and like Facebook that they have at any given time. And so I don't think I've ever had a clients like back end look the same. And so you get used to like, okay, I know I've got to do this and that, but a lot of times it's just wonky.
Yeah.
So I would love to help you with that. I can't tell you off
I
the top of my head because it's walking through the steps. It
Yeah,
is
you have
complicated.
to just kind of see it to
Yeah.
understand.
You gotta,
Yeah. Now, I will say that once I got in and like figured out like, okay, I've created the page as like a sub page. It's frustrating, but it's done. And creating the pixel, I did back in the day, I did it years ago. And the way I had to do it was like put the code in the header and all this kind of stuff. I did it recently and it was super awesome. Like I typed in my URL, it took me to the web page and I would like click a button and it would say, do you want to track like when people press this button? Is it a purchase? Is it a lead generation? What is it? And like, yeah. So like I had this funnel built out and it's 3 pages and I went to each one of them and added a pixel to different things. So if they click no, then it shows that they bounced off the page and they didn't buy. And it's like, it blew my mind at how like detailed you can get with these Facebook pixels for retargeting. It was super cool.
it
So
is
yeah.
really cool. They do some really cool stuff with the pixels and they have made it a lot more user friendly. I feel like from when I first started, like
Yeah.
if you're connected, like certain what do you call them, like website host platforms or whatever, it's really simple. You just put in the code and that's it. Like it does it all for you and it makes
Yeah.
it way easier. So
And it was super
Facebook has
cool.
done a good job with that.
So I've been excited about
Yes.
growing the page so I can actually like use, because right now I have the pixel and it's like great, but like I'm not super promoting it. Like I said, I'm still pre-launch with everything. So like I'm doing Facebook lives, but once the podcast goes live, I'm going to be doing a lot more content. I'm guesting on a couple of podcasts here recently. I've got another one lined up. So I'm super excited to grow, but I'm really excited to get
Right.
in there and use those different Facebook tools. So let's talk real quick. I want to spend a little bit more time on this section just because I'm
Yeah.
interested. So a little selfish, but
Okay.
so just using me as an example, I have 20 likes right now on Facebook. My target demographic
Mhm.
is entrepreneurs, small business owners who need to grow their business, want to market, want to reach more people, that kind of thing. And part of the reason I'm doing this podcast is so I can learn from professional marketers. I'm not a professional marketer. I do video, have a lot of fun with that, but I want to learn how to market better myself. So, what would you suggest that I
Right.
do to reach more people on Facebook rather than just sharing it to my friends who like 3 of them might like it?
Yes. So great question. Really it's about getting engagement. And
Mhm.
so with any page at any time you're doing anything, I mean, when you have 20 people, it's going to take a little time to get some momentum.
Yeah.
But just figuring out, even within those 20 people, if they're your ideal people, what do they respond to? I think my favorite example is I had a mom's page that I shared an article about a rapper that went on paternity leave, and it created like all this buzz on her page in the community. Like people were liking it and sharing it and talking about it. And so I took that nugget right there, like, okay, these women really want to talk about paternity leave. They really liked this. And so I went in like a couple months later and asked a question, like, hey, let's talk about paternity leave. What do you think about it? And guess what? So many people responded because it was already something that was a hot topic. So really paying attention to what your people respond to, and it takes some time. Like it's not easy. Like that the client that I talked about went from 15 to 30,000. She knew her audience really, really well. And then when she had someone like me who come in and plug in and say like, okay, they're responding to this, so let's tweak it and put it back out. Kind of repurposing content, but in different ways. It really kind of helps speed things up. So I would definitely say some things that people don't realize that you should do is sharing other content. So the way the Facebook algorithm works is that if you, Matt, your page is 20, give me someone who does what you do or a similar page that's really big.
There's a guy named Ping June who does very similar, like for the
A
Ping, Peng,
ping.
Ping
Okay.
June. He
Ping.
does video marketing stuff. And he's really big.
Okay. So what I would do for you is go to Ping June's page, and like Trisha showed, you could see what they. You can go on the back end and follow them and see what posts did really well on his page this week, and
Mhm.
share that his post onto your page. Because what Facebook does is Facebook says, okay, so if Ping June has all these people liking and commenting and following, and then Matt shares his information, then Matt's people must also like this stuff that Ping June is doing, so we're going to show it to more people. And so it'll start getting your stuff in the algorithm kind of rolling if you're
Okay.
sharing other content. And a lot of people don't realize that, and so they try to only do their stuff, which
Yeah.
is okay. But to really get traction, you want to share other stuff so that Facebook, it's not a trick. You're not tricking them. It's how it's set up.
It's just
But you're
understanding how it
getting,
works. Yeah.
right, and getting Facebook to see like, okay, this is what my content is about. Now show my stuff to these people. Um, and the same thing with interacting with people. Like if you go on to not Matt Ping, Ping June, you go into his page and interact as your business page, then you start to create a connection in the algorithm between your page and his page. And so the more you can do that with pages like that, if someone goes onto his page and likes it, there's a little thing that will pop up and say, you might also like these pages, and yours could eventually pop up there the more connection that you build with that page.
So really, so like that's huge. That is like a huge shift. That's awesome because like you said, most people think that they need to share only their stuff, and that's where I've been. I actually saw somebody post that question in a group earlier about sharing other people's articles and stuff. So
Yes.
I've been treating him like a competitor. It's like, okay, he's a competitor. He's got years head start on me. Really,
No.
it's like a collaboration I need to be looking
Yes.
for.
Correct. Yep. So don't view people as your competition, because they're really there to help. And then what the great thing is, when you share his stuff, it also helps him. So it's
Yeah.
helping you and it's helping him. Because the more his stuff is shared and liked and commented on, the more Facebook puts it in front of other people. And the same thing with yours. So if you get this traction on this post because you posted his post and you shared his post, then you kind of get this boost in the algorithm. And then so sometimes the next post you share will get more eyeballs because it was already doing well from the previous post.
Huh. So it's kind of
So
like the all ships rise in a high tide mentality.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay. See that for me, that's huge. I did not know that.
Mhm.
I, I, I'm excited just to take action on that now. You know, going
Yes.
on there and finding people who, because I know there's one other guy. He's not quite as big as Ping, but just following them and sharing their content. And okay,
Yep.
that's really
And
cool.
then if you have relationships with them, if you could even form that, just be like, hey, like I'm starting out, I can share some of your stuff. Would you mind sharing some of mine? You guys can kind of collaborate in that way. You don't want to get stuck in an endless cycle of, for the next year, you only share his stuff and vice
Yeah.
versa.
Yeah.
And you want to have a broad range of people. But if you can find some people, if you can make those connections in your industry and have them share some really cool project that you did, then that's going to get their fans onto your page as well.
Oh, that's awesome. That is super cool. So I'm gonna stop with this section right there. I'm
Okay.
because I want people to walk away with that like piece of actionable knowledge because I think that's huge. That can be a game
Yes.
changer for a lot of people in a position like mine where you're just starting out. You know, you want the engagement. We talked about that. You want people to comment. You want to know your people. Correct me if I mess any of this up. Um, so you want to post engaging things and share your air quotes competition stuff. You know, feature it more as like a
Yes.
collaboration rather than a competition. Um, so that way you work with the Facebook algorithm. So I do have one question about the like asking
Okay.
questions to get engagement.
Mhm.
Like you said, it's going to take some time because my page is so small. So I have 20 likes. If I say, okay, I think, my people like this kind of stuff. Again, the page is about marketing. So if I ask a question about marketing, if zero people respond to that post, that question, or whatever, do I delete the post later so it doesn't show like, hey, he asked a question and zero people responded, so it doesn't look bad? Or is it kind of like a doesn't really matter kind of thing?
I don't know. Okay, I think it's twofold. So
Okay.
yes, if you have this page with content on it and no one's responding, and you have this, you know, as far back as you can go, no one's ever responded, and you scroll and scroll and scroll, then yes, maybe let's delete some. But at the same time, if you put out an ad, and here's where I like to tie in ads to it. If you put out an ad and I'm like, who is Matt? And I go to your page and you have no content because you deleted it all because no one responded, then I'm like, oh, does he know what he's doing? Like, is he a newbie? Is this real? Like, what is going on? But if I can scroll through and see, okay, no one has responded to you, but okay, you're asking questions that are on target with what I'm thinking or feeling or wanting, then I think that that can be valuable. And the other thing, speaking to that, would be if you go in, you can see the stats on your post. Like, look and see how many people of those 20 people actually saw it. Because a lot of times, if your page isn't getting any traction, then people really just aren't seeing your post. So it might not be that they don't want to respond, is that they're not seeing it. So then how do we get more people to see your post? And I would start with sharing other content. So it's kind of this cycle, right? So we want to
Yeah.
get some traction on some posts so that your stuff starts to get seen. And if you can, if you share, oh, I forgot his name, Ping. If you
Ping.
share
Yep.
Ping stuff, and someone comments like, "Oh, this is really cool," respond to them. So you say in the comments, like, what did you really like about it? Ask a question because Facebook really values community. Like, I don't know if you saw it was like the Super Bowl, they did all their thing with groups
Yeah.
because Facebook is big into community. So the more you can communicate back and forth with your people, the more Facebook is going to reward you in a sense. So when someone starts to respond on something, ask them a question till they respond back. So it starts a conversation. So don't just be like, yeah, it was cool, but what did you really like about it? And then once they respond, like, my favorite part was, so
See, I feel like the simplest thing is like blowing my mind right now because I wouldn't have. I've
yes,
my video production page. I used to do a ton of weddings every year, and people would comment, and I would be like, "Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate it." Like, and that's usually I would respond, but that's where it would end. I
right.
didn't ask a question. Somebody said, "Oh my gosh, this video is so beautiful." I should have been like, "Oh, that's so great. I love that. What was your favorite part?" And like you said, keep that conversation
Yes,
going. See, I did not know about that. That's
exactly.
another. Oh my
Yep.
gosh. See, I'm gonna have to go through and start. I haven't been taking notes because I'm on video. Um, but yeah, I'm gonna have to go back and take notes later because this is a huge section that can be a game changer for running
Yes.
Facebook. Um,
Do you feel like I answered your original question? I know I like started going. It's how my
like
brain works.
threefold. Yes, you did.
Okay. Good.
Absolutely. So that's all really awesome stuff, and I'm trying to keep it simple because I don't want to forget anything. All this stuff is so amazing. Um, and again, we talked beforehand about possibly having you in the Secrets to Video Marketing course. So hopefully I can convince you to join in there, and we're going to go over this stuff a little more in depth. So I want to move on to the podcast interview because I can literally get carried away with this stuff all day. So,
Me too.
so what's something you see people do in their marketing that really makes you cringe?
Oh, um, it's funny because I ask people in groups, like, does this happen to you? And it doesn't happen to a lot of people. I don't know why, but people friend me all the time. And I'm like, okay, as far as like my business goes, they're friending me personally. So I just like, okay, sure, I'll be your friend. And instantly I get hit up in my messenger with, hey girl, so great to see you. Like, don't you want to buy my makeup? It's on. I'm like, who are you? No, I don't. And then I like block them or tell them that sometimes I school them a little bit. Hey, this is not a good way to connect with people. Even before I did this, like I did sales in a previous life. I come from a line of salesmen. And so, like, I just know that, yes, that's a tactic, but I feel like that's a small percentage of the population that works on. And if that works on you, like, great. But I would say for most people, that doesn't work. And so I don't know who's out there telling people to do that. But again, like I go back to, I like emotional connections. And so does Facebook. Facebook likes community. And I'm like, I don't know you from Adam. So I don't really want to buy your makeup. Like I'd rather form a connection. But then that turns into, I think people have found like, okay, so like, hey girl, how are you? How's your business going? What you doing? I'm like, I still don't know you. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. You know what I'm saying? It's just a weird, like, I just don't like that. Either just straight up offering me a sale because I said yes to being your friend, or like you're just asking me all kinds of questions so that you're waiting for me to say something so you can flip it and sell me something. I don't like that.
You know, I've had that happen to me a lot too. I did
Do you
the
like it?
No, absolutely not. It's like,
Oh,
have
sorry,
you
I said
heard?
that so accusing. Do you like that?
So, have you heard of ClickFunnels by any chance?
Yes.
Okay, so I did their one funnel away challenge, and
Uh-huh.
I loved it. Learned a ton of stuff in there, and then I went and joined their ClickFunnels like official Facebook group. I love ClickFunnels. It's super awesome. Russell Brunson
Mhm.
is totally great. Their Facebook group
Yeah.
needs some super heavy moderation right now. It it's like what they have is like people going in there and they'll post like this mindset question of like, do you believe you can make $1 million a year? And it's like all it does is get people to like engage. It gets people to say, oh yeah, I believe I can. That's super cool. Or like, what's your definition of marketing? Or what's your definition? And it's like these non-helpful question topics that don't have a right or wrong
Mm.
answer. And I learned very early on that if you respond to those, they do exactly what you said. They friend you and then
Yes.
they're like, hey, you should check out my course on this or that. And it's like, then they go, it's bad. Like you said, that kind of stuff is super cringy.
It
And
is.
like you said, I don't know. There's a very small population of people who are like, oh yeah, let me take a look at your stuff. Like,
Right.
and like you said,
Right.
at first I told somebody, I was like, this is the wrong way of Facebook marketing, right? Like I don't know a lot about Facebook marketing, but I know this isn't it. And like now I just
Yeah.
ignore. Like you said,
It reminds me of the perfume people. Wait, what'd you say?
I said now I've got to the point where I just unfriend them. Like they send me a message, like
Yes.
first message they're selling something, I just unfriend them. I don't even respond anymore. Yeah.
Yeah. I do a lot of that. It reminds me of the perfume people like in a department store that like walk around and like put like the perfume things in your face and like try to spray. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is
Yeah.
not wanted. I'm just trying to get where I'm going.
Oh, I learned that when I was in college. I was walking through a mall, I was Christmas shopping for my girlfriend at the time, and I was walking through the store, and there's like the middle kiosk, and they were selling like this facial scrub or something. And I was wearing like an entrepreneur, like a Convert Kit T-shirt or something, and I made eye contact, and I realized in that moment that that's all it takes. If you make eye contact,
Yes.
they'd be like, "Oh my gosh, I love your shirt," and I'm like, "Thank you." And like I kept walking, and they like ask another question. They're like, and then it's like, "Oh man, now I've got to have a conversation." It's like you don't want to be rude, but in the same vein, I feel like it's kind of
Right.
rude of them to like draw you in. Like you made eye contact, and now you're gonna buy their thing. It's like I'm not
Right.
obligated. Yeah.
Right.
So I agree. It's
No one
kind of like
likes that.
that whenever you're trying to Facebook market, and it's like I think if somebody comments on your thing and they like your post and you want to add them as a friend, and then you go to their Facebook page and comment on something and follow their business page, like give value to them first instead of automatically going in for the sale. I mean that's at least like you
Exactly.
said, it doesn't work on us. So that's a good thing to do. Make the marketing cringe right there. Don't do that.
Don't do that.
All right, Megan, if you were to start marketing for a new business today and you only had $1,000 in your budget, how would you spend that money to get some more clients?
You said in my business or a new client's business?
Either one. I want to start off like a new business though. Like if you were to just start your business today and you had $1,000 to market with.
Hmm. I think what I found really works really well is that I like combining organic growth with Facebook ads because, like I talked about at the beginning, if I see an ad pop up for a purse that I really like. And then I go to their Facebook page and it's dead. There's nothing there. They have no post on anything that I'm like, okay, this seems like a scam. It might not be. It might be the greatest purse I've ever owned, but they don't have any social proof. And so, what I like to do with any clients, new businesses, and my own as well, is just have them posting consistently on their page, but then mixing it with ads. Because a lot of times, if you have growth happening on your page, which that client that we took from 15 to 30,000, like she was doing ads in conjunction with her page, but we were engaging and putting out stuff people liked. So, but then she's doing her ad. So once they see the ad and they click on it and come to her page, then if you're targeting correctly in the ads, then they're converting over here and becoming clients down the line. So I would definitely say, posting consistently on your Facebook page, and then engaging authentically, like we talked about, but then running some ads. So you can do video view campaigns do really well. Like Facebook Lives are amazing. So if you do a Facebook Live on your page and then run an ad to it, so you're getting people to view that, and then you're creating this warm audience, getting them to engage in that. And then when you go to sell your product, you have some of somewhat of a warm audience there, and you can retarget them in an ad to purchase, because most people, like we talked about, aren't going to buy straight from like a cold audience, people just reaching out in your inbox. And so you really want to get people to know, like, and trust you. And so once you can do that, then they're more likely to buy. So combining ads with organic growth is what I would do. I would put that money towards ads. Yep.
Okay. So here's another question. So my micro page I got going on right now, every time I do like a Facebook Live, or honestly, every day and a half or so, Facebook is like, hey, if you put $10 boost this post, you can reach 1,600 people. Don't do boosted posts.
Don't do boosted posts. So, and that's basically what everyone will tell you. I haven't done it because I've always just heard don't do it. So I can't walk you through the exact process, honestly, of boosting a post, but it's just take that $10 and put it into an ad, like $10 a day. And what you can do when you're doing an ad is you can make it super targeted. So you can go in and say, I want guys from age 25 to 38 in Los Angeles, California, that also like, no, some random restaurant.
Yeah.
And you can target like exactly those people. But when you're boosting posts, from what I gather, it's just kind of like throwing darts in the dark. Like
That's kind of how I've pictured it. And it's like,
out there.
I feel like also that the ad copy, because from what I understand, boosted post literally just takes that post and puts it in front of more people. Whereas I feel like I don't have as much control. So if I want to get that post in front of more people, I'm going to create an ad. So that way the ad copy is specific to a cold audience instead of people who already like my page. That's kind of the way I viewed it. Okay. So I'm glad, that's what I wanted to ask about that. Cause they make it seem like it's like the golden bullet kind of thing. Just put $10 in this and you can hit 1,600 people. And it's like, it's one of those, if it seems too good to be true, it might be kind of thing. And that's why.
Right. And I think for people who are starting out or who may not know much about marketing, like you're like, oh my gosh, but like I boosted it. I had a client, even though I said, don't do this, don't do this, don't, she kept doing it. And she would put it out there. And so her page was growing like better than it was because she was doing all these boosted posts. And I was like, okay, but now all those people aren't engaging with us. And there is a thing is having just kind of dead weight, and it drags your page down. So if you have a page with 50,000 people, but only 100 are engaging, then Facebook doesn't like that. Like Facebook is like, so either you tricked your people to get here, you bought likes, but like it's not authentic. And so we're not going to show your stuff to all these people because it doesn't seem real because no one's engaging.
Yeah.
So it's better to have a smaller audience, but that's actually engaging with you, than a big audience with a small percentage engaging. And so the boosted post, I think, will grow your numbers, but it's not necessarily your ideal client. And so what is it? What, it doesn't help you. It hurts you.
It's kind of like I've been seeing it go around Facebook a lot lately. People go in and create pages for like, it's like Tiffin motorhomes, like the RV people. And it's like, we're giving away a motorhome. All you have to do is like our page and share this post. And like, obviously it's like an $80,000, $120,000, $300,000 motorhome. And it's like, they're just going to give that away. And then what always happens, you can see it, they'll share it and be like, oh, sadly the last winner wasn't over 18, so they couldn't get it. So we're going to continue it on until Friday. I feel like that's what they're tricking people into getting those likes. And then they're going to turn around and change the name of that page. And then they have 300,000 likes on a page that isn't what it originally was.
Right.
So
it's just vanity metrics. So it looks good, but it doesn't help you.
A vanity metric. That's the perfect way to describe it. That's it. Cool. So now I know, because I've been thinking about it with the boosted post. I was like, man, I don't know anything about it. I want to try it, but now that I know, I'm just going to go and create an ad for because I have a bunch of Facebook Lives. I do one a couple times a week. So I've got those adding up. So I'll just run ads to those and engage with people.
Yes.
Cool. Awesome.
Exactly. And along that same line, I just want to throw in, I know you mentioned, I'm not hating on you, but I tell all my people with new pages this: do not invite all of your family and friends. Like, do not invite your whole Facebook list, because it's the same idea.
Yeah.
That like, if this was the friends and family page of Matt, like, sure. But if this is a page about marketing, or like mine is about, Facebook marketing, not every single one of my family and friends needs my services. And so, it's easy to want that kind of boost. Like, yeah, but these people support me, but are they going to be paying you? Are they going to be paying clients? If they're not, then, and not that everyone on my page is going to be a paying client, but someone who can gain value from what I'm putting out into the world. Yeah. And if they're not going to gain that, then it's just kind of pointless to have them there. So and honestly, that is a hard thing to do.
Yeah. And when I created my page, like, I never wanted to create a page with my name. I just, it feels very vain. But when I created the business, the
Right.
podcast, and everything, I wanted to keep it as simple as possible. I was tired. Like I said, I've created a number of businesses with different names and come up with logos and everything. I was just tired of that. I wanted to just, Matt Peet
Right.
marketing podcast, be clear. It's like, hey, there's a guy named Matt Peet and he's running a marketing podcast. So I created the page. It's just
Yes.
called Matt Peet. I never wanted to do that. I feels bad when people like my page, but for me, it was keeping it simple. So when I did share that on Facebook, I made like a post about it. It wasn't just, hey, go like my page. Like I made a post and I
Right.
was like, hey, I created a page. It's super weird to have a page named after myself. But if you're a small business or an entrepreneur who wants to grow, you want to learn some marketing stuff, then go follow my page. So that's why like
Yes.
I've got over 1,000 friends, but only like 8 or 10 liked it, which I was okay with, but for that very reason. I don't want
Yes.
my aunts to go like my page because none of them have a business they're trying to grow, you
Right.
know?
Exactly. And I don't think it's weird that you named your thing Matt Peet Marketing. I don't think that's weird at all because it says what it is. What I don't like when people do is like I have a course to teach people kind of how to do this and we walk through different pages and stuff. But if the name is just really ambiguous, like if I were to do like, I don't know, um, butterfly garden, like, and that's my page name, but I'm doing Facebook marketing. Like, you don't know that because I called it Butterfly
Yeah.
Garden. But to me, that's really sentimental and valuable and has this great meaning. But you don't know that. And so if you come across my page, are you going to like Butterfly Garden? Probably not. But Matt Pete Marketing, you're like, okay, well, this is a guy named Matt Pete doing marketing. So I think it's great. Like, I wouldn't feel weird about that.
Okay, good. Cause, and like you said, the whole, like, whenever you're choosing a name for your business, you can either be clever or clear, always be clear.
Always
It's,
be clear.
yeah, it's, again, that's the problem. Like my video production name, created it when I was in college. Don't judge me. It's Repeat Productions. So it's RE hyphen and then my last name, PEET Productions.
Uh-huh.
So it's clever, but it's annoying.
You
And
bet.
I've talked about it on the podcast a couple times already before, so I won't get into it too deep. But like anytime I want to tell somebody, hey, email me Matt at Repeat Productions, and then I have to spell it out for them, it gets really
Right.
frustrating. I went way too clever with it, and I should have just called it Matt Pete Videography or something like that. Like
Yes.
it was a dumb mistake, but I learned from that, and now it's just the Matt Pete Marketing Podcast. So I wanted to keep it
Yeah.
super clear. Yeah,
I
that's
love it. It's
that's
clear.
yeah, I love that tip. For anybody out there starting out, trying to name your thing. Like me and my wife are in the process of considering starting like a YouTube channel and everything for all the traveling we do, because we're really good at doing videos and pictures, and we like traveling. So we're talking about doing that, and we're like coming up with a name that is clear enough. We were talking about that last night about what to
Right.
name it and that whole process. You don't want to, like you said, I've seen that so many times. I'm not going to throw any like names because I've got one on the top of my head. It's like they named it as like the butterfly garden thing, and then it's marketing, and it's like I'm not going to like the page because I don't like gardening, and I'm thinking that's what it's about. It was
Right.
literally, it's like some kind of flower or something, and it's like I that doesn't scream marketing to me, and yeah,
Yes.
it pushes people away instead of attracting people. So that's super
Yes.
cool. And now I feel less bad about having a page named after myself.
No, and I will say, I meant to say this too. I think the way you did it was exactly right. Like you put out a post, like here's my new page, and this is what I'm doing. Like it if you're trying to do this. I did the exact same thing, and I did get some that liked it, but there were people with businesses, and so
Yeah.
that's the value because your people. Like I'm sure someone who knew you from high school would want to support you, right?
Yeah.
But you don't want every single person you've ever known in your life to be on that page and just bring it down. And so I think you did it exactly the right way, and I hope everyone does that because I know it's really tempting to just invite everyone you know. But
Yeah, it
I
is.
think you
Because,
did a great job.
like you said, it's that vanity metric. It's like, oh, now I've got 200 likes. It's like, okay, but zero
Yep.
of those people want to help. And like, if me and my wife end up creating the YouTube channel, then share it with our friends and family and get everybody to follow it because it's literally just our adventures, our travels. And it's like,
Yes.
you don't have to like have a business or anything specific. If you like us
Right.
and you want to see what we're doing, then follow this page. That's different.
Of all
So,
this.
yeah. Okay.
Exactly.
Awesome. Awesome. Love that takeaway. All right, Megan. So, what is the last book that you read that you would recommend?
Oh, I'm going to be really honest. This is terrible. I don't read business books. So if this is a business book, I don't know. Um, the last book I read that I like to recommend, I'm reading right now How to Be Anti-Racist and Anti-Racist. started a book club, but the last one that I read and completed that I recommend would be Just Mercy.
Okay.
Have you heard of that?
I have not.
So I'm really big into racial reconciliation, racial justice, and have been for many years. And so it was one of the books I picked up. It's by Brian Stevenson. He is a Black lawyer, and he created the Equal Justice Initiative. But they just made a movie called Just Mercy off the book, and it was good, but the book is always better. Um,
I think I've
it
seen that
just
movie.
about Walter, and he's wrongly accused of a crime.
Maybe not. Me and my wife watched one just like a week ago. I can't remember the name of it though, but it was something along those lines. I have to go back and,
Okay.
and see what it was.
Check it out. But it was so good. It just really kind of highlights what it's like to be Black in the justice system in America today, and just how things can and do get easily twisted, and there's an unfair advantage if you're white. So I know that's
Okay.
controversial, but that's my heart, and that's the last book I read that I would recommend. So
Hey, that was the question and you answered it, and I
yeah,
appreciate that. That's
yeah,
awesome. I appreciate you not going in here and just like coming up with a business book you haven't read and suggesting that because yeah, being authentically you. I appreciate that. So,
yeah.
do you have any marketers that you follow for inspiration?
Hmm. I am in a couple groups that I love, and one of them is called Surf Scale Soar, and it's by Brandy Miles. And so I follow her and love her. And I'm really big into finding like two, maybe three voices and following them, and that's kind of it. And just sticking there, because I feel like if we follow too many people and get too much, then it gets confusing. So I follow Brandy Miles, and I have a business coach, Erin Morgan, and I love her. So I basically follow the two of them and gain lots of wisdom from them.
Awesome, awesome. And I've heard of Surf Scale Soar. Trisha Pruitt told me about her.
Yes.
I talked with her, and unfortunately, she's in the middle of like prepping for another launch right now. So she's not doing any
Yeah.
podcast episodes until beginning of 2021. So I'm going to try to get her on because you're the second person now that's recommended her. So she's on my
She's very
list.
good.
She's on my Dream 100 list now. I'm going to get her. It just might
Yes.
take 6 months for me to do it.
Yes. She's really good. And she's done stuff with like Rick Mulready. Do you know him? He's
Oh
huge
yeah.
into Facebook ads.
Yep.
So yeah, she's really good at having the podcast. So if you can get her, do it for sure.
Awesome. Awesome. I'm going to do that. All right. So what's your favorite marketing tool and why?
Facebook. um, this is going to sound so corny, but I think my ability to create relationships and connections, um, because I think that's huge. And, I think really being your genuine, authentic self has done really well for me. Um, and so I think I could do all the greatest marketing things, but if I was a jerk, then people wouldn't want to work with me. And so I really think I value just connecting with people. I'm huge into connections. So
That's awesome. I think that is huge. And like I said at the very beginning of the episode, I was excited for today's interview just by the way you answered the questions on like the scheduling thing. So like being yourself and just being genuine, it helped make that connection. So I was super excited. I love that answer.
yay.
All right, Megan, if you could go back to when you first started marketing and give yourself one piece of advice, what would it be?
To not undervalue what you're worth. I still struggle with that. I think it's easy to do whatever it takes to land a client. And I've done that before, and then regret it. And so, like, hey, I'm not charging you enough money to do what we agreed to, but I just wanted a client. And so I took you. So I think really valuing what I know and who I am, and pricing myself at that and sticking to it.
Yep, that's huge. And especially people who are like in the service industry, like, you're not selling a product, you're selling your time and your expertise.
Right.
Like that's super easy to do. I mean, I did
Yes.
that for years. When I was doing weddings, I was getting paid $3,000 for a wedding, which is decent money, but I was literally, like you said, doing what you could to get the sale. It was an unlimited hours package. So like the way I phrased it was like up to 10 hours with no overage fees. Like the last time I did that, I shot a wedding. I got there at 9 o'clock in the morning to get the guys like meeting up at like this super cool barbershop thing. And I was there
Mhm.
until 11:30 that night. And I was just dead. I couldn't, like, I had to get up at like 7 that morning to start getting everything loaded up and, make sure I look presentable for a wedding day at 9 o'clock in the
Right.
morning. It's just, that was the last time I did it. And it almost broke me. That was
And
one
that
of the
doesn't even
hardest
count
days.
for your editing.
No, no. I mean, that basically that wedding, the editing was free. I mean, it was rough, because I didn't
Yeah.
value myself, didn't value my work, and it crushed me.
Yeah.
And even to this day, like I'm building relationships with other people. Like I said, I do weddings, but I do much less, many fewer of them. I think I cap it at
Mm.
like 10 a year. Um, and even then, if I don't
Right.
hit 10, it's like, okay, that's fine. But I've started like second shooting for people because second shooting, when you do video, like it's super easy. Like
Right.
there's no stress. You get the shots. If it works out, great. If it doesn't, then they're not your client. Like it's a horrible way to view it, but
Yeah.
like it's so much more stress free. But like I just had somebody contact me asking me to shoot for them, like a lead shoot almost, but for like next year at some point. But it's like a 12-hour day, and it's like I can't do that. I can't, because I wouldn't
Right.
be able to charge second shooter rates to make it worth my while, for 12 hours. So I'm having to
Right.
say no, even though I
Right.
like the people, I want to continue to work with them because they're really nice people. I can't put myself through that. Like I have my limit, So I think that's huge
Yes.
for people out there starting their business. Like, know your limit, know, value your worth, like, and just like the know thyself kind of thing, you gotta
Right.
make it worth your while without killing yourself. I think that's huge. That's like a deep point for that question. I love that.
Yeah.
All right. So,
And one of the things, oh, sorry, can I give a really quick
yeah,
example?
absolutely. Absolutely.
Um, I got really into Selling Sunset on Netflix. Do you know what that is?
I don't.
Okay, it's this super high-end realtor show. Like they're selling like $40 million
Oh,
homes.
yes, yes. I do know what you're talking about. Okay. Yep.
Yes. And when I was feeling really down on myself one day, just because I said yes to this client that I knew I should have said no to, my husband was like, Megan, there, like, think about that show. And like, we wouldn't go hire that realtor because we're not going to spend $40 million on a home. But there are people that will, and they value that realtor because they can afford it, and that's what they're looking for, and they know their value. And so that stuck with me that like, yes, Sally may not pay me what I'm asking for, but Mary will because that is my value and that is what she's looking for. And that's the quality of work that she's at. And not everyone can hire you and not everyone will. And you have to be okay with that.
Yep.
So,
I love that. And, just one more point again on that, for the videography industry, when I was doing weddings again, it really like drove the point home whenever I would shoot weddings. And when I was charging $3,000, I would have somebody contact me and I would tell my price and be like, awesome, where do I sign the contract? Where's it at? And they would hire me the best clients. And then I would have
yep,
somebody, I just had one recently. It's like, they loved my work. They wanted to hire me. They only wanted me for the ceremony, but I told them $1,000. It was like, for, an hour for me to come out, shoot your thing, $1,000. And they're like, oh, I just don't have that much money. And I'm like, sorry, like if anything changes, let
yeah,
me know. Like, because in my experience, again, not to like pigeonhole everybody into this, but in my experience, the more headache you're going to get is from the clients who can't afford your rates. And by lowering your rates to
right.
just make the sale, you're going to have more of a headache than, like you said, if you were to just wait for the client who's going to value you and your services to your price point, because they're going to hire you and
Yep.
then they're going to trust you. They're going to believe you. They're not going to fight back. They're going to do what you say, and they're going to love you for it at the end of the day because they
Yes.
respect you. Those people who nickel and dime you,
Yep.
it's a losing battle 90% of the time. Yeah.
Yes.
Awesome. Awesome.
Yep.
I love that we touched on that there at the end, because everybody needs
Yes.
some motivation and some mindset. And it's okay to say no to clients that you don't feel right about. I've turned away numerous clients because it's just, I didn't feel right about it. And
Right.
better have that peace of mind than a headache later. So
Yep.
100%. All right, Megan. So what is the best way for people to learn more about you and follow you?
So on Facebook, it's 2M Social, and I think the end of it is page marketing and strategy. But 2M Social is where I post and do my thing. So you can find me there. I'm on Instagram some. I've tried to really dig into Facebook, but on Instagram it's 2M_social. So
2M
it's
Social.
definitely
Awesome. And I will have that linked up on your show notes page and everywhere else that this episode is. I will have it in that description. People, go check out her stuff. She has got a ton of awesome things on there, and they can even hire you to run their social media. I mean,
yes.
I'm
Right on.
tempted to do that. And real quick before we go, I know this is a question you might not be able to answer because I went to your website and I saw your packages and they all look really awesome.
Thank
On
you.
average, what does somebody spend with you to do Facebook page management? Or
For
is that
just
a
the
question?
Facebook page or Facebook page with ads?
Ooh, let's do both. Facebook page and ads. What does that normally run somebody?
So the middle tier package is $15.97 a month.
Okay, that's not bad for a full month. That's really good to get, like, because getting that engagement up on Facebook is going to in turn make them money. That your company you took from 200 email list to 1,500, they're making a
Yes.
lot more than $1,500 a month now with that
So,
expertise. Awesome. That
yes.
is really cool. Awesome. So if you want to check out more of Megan's stuff, 2M Social, again, I'll have that linked up. Megan, I appreciate you being on today's call. And everybody remember, marketing matters.